Hey guys, this is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review. I do apologize. It's been, from what I just checked on my YouTube channel, 2 months. For those of you who have been watching my channel and been interested, don't be alarmed. I've been very busy. As you can see from a little bit of a backdrop, I moved. I moved with me and my roommate a few months ago, and we're just now starting to get things together, and I'm starting to get back into my reviews for the snappower.com website, and also my reviews for YouTube, as well as my own writings for me being a writer and such like that for what I've done. So I'm now getting back into that full time, or at least going to attempt to, and I'm going to try to bring you as many reviews as I can in my spare time when I am able. And as you know, I did Kung Fu Panda for last time. With Kung Fu Panda, as you know, is going to come this one. Once again, I love how there's nothing to really be done about the sun glare when you start. Well, if I do that, it takes it away. So it looks like I could bend it a little bit that way. Otherwise, you do that, there's sun glare as always. But yeah, it's Kung Fu Panda 2. Kung Fu Panda 2. And I will probably do a little bit of mention of Secrets of the Masters here, which is also a very good short sort of animated film thing. And with Kung Fu Panda 2, as everyone knows, it leaves off again from where the first one was. Now it's under a new director, Jennifer Yu Nelson. I forget the first two directors. I think it was Chris Nelson and somebody else. Would go get the first movie right now, but I sorry, I don't want to disappear from the table and just come right back. But it was done by two gentlemen who did a very good job. Who did, as I mentioned, I believe in the first review, for the love of anime and for kung fu movies, and that's why they did the first film. And Jennifer Yu Nelson, who directs this one, comes back, and she's like taking the reins because those other two gentlemen aren't really in the production, producing credits and or the directing credits or writing for that matter. So I don't know if they wanted to do other things or if they had other stuff going on. From what I could tell, I believe those two went and did How to Train Your Dragon, which is a phenomenal series of films in their own rights, and I want to get those films too and review those films for you guys as well. I just have not gotten the films. Just like I said, I review the films that I own, which I have a huge complex library of various films and various genres, so lots to be done. But, she took over where the reins left off, and Kung Fu Panda 2, under Jennifer Nelson, takes place, I believe, maybe a year or two after the first one. We really don't get a time frame, but we see that Poe is still doing his things, being a goofball, but yet he knows martial arts very well at this point. He's gotten the respect of his peers: Tigress, Crane, Mantis, Monkey, Viper. They all pretty much respect him, and they're all good friends with each other. And nobody really hates each other. And then you have Master Shifu, who is back and has taken the master mantle from Master Oogway. Like, he's sort of in the same garb that Oogway wore, and he refixed Oogway's staff, and he's using Oogway's staff as a meditation tool, as a fighting tool. So Shifu's taken over for Oogway, and we get the start of the film. I shouldn't say with Poe again, but it starts with the backdrop of a story of the main villain, Shen. And Shen, who had a family of peacocks in a noble heart of China. It looks like almost the Chinese capital that this takes place in. Shen and his family, they made fireworks to bring people peace, and they, did it for joy and everything, and for, respect. But then Shen, as always, the classic villain, thinks, hey, these fireworks can make things explode. I could use these to control. They could create violence. I could use these for a tool of war. Which the family, his mother and father, Shen's mother and father, they didn't like what they saw, so they consulted a soothsayer to, who's a nice little ram goat, who's just lovely, by the way. They consulted a soothsayer who said, that Shen, if he continued down this dark path, would be, defeated by a warrior of white and black. Which then Shen overheard, in a corner, what was supposed to happen. So he went out and believed what he was thinking, what would change his destiny. And you get this nice sort of Chinese puppetry 2D animation thing where you get to see Shen attacking a panda village, hilariously enough, and he attacks this panda village, sends it out on them, and the rest is history. He destroyed the panda village, thinking it was the pandas who were going to bring his downfall. Goes back to his mother and father, tells them what he did, and in classic fashion, the mother and father are disgusted, and in shame, they exile their son. And you get the backdrop of Shen working with, these ninja-like wolves who are actually pretty awesome. I like the ninja wolves a lot in the second movie. They said they were supposed to be in the first movie, according to the audio commentary, but couldn't really fit them in because I guess the animation budget wasn't as good as it was for the second one, so that's why these ninja wolves weren't in there. But you have Shen, who's continuing to build these fireworks as weapons and explosives, and he needs more metal. And that's sort of what sets up Po and the Furious Five to having to go fight with Shen's group, is that they go to a village where Wolf Boss, who's the main wolf ninja, with his baddies, go to steal the iron, and they take, whatever iron that they can find, and Po and his group, they actually work well together to stop them, but when Wolf Boss is actually showing up to do harm to Po, Po sees a tattoo, right there on the shoulder of Wolf Boss, and Wolf Boss sadly gets, well, not Wolf Boss, Po actually has a flashback of something he saw from his childhood with that symbol, freezes up, Wolf Boss gets a good hit in, takes Po down, they escape with the iron, and, that much is pretty much history, and it goes to where Po's trying to figure out, why did I have a weird vision of my past? He goes to his father and, Mr. Ping, and, you get this hilarious introduction that Mr. Ping's like, you're adopted, and Po's like, I sort of knew that, Dad. You're a goose, and I'm a panda. How does that happen? So, it's just funny how they come to that conclusion, and you get a very nice story with Mr. Ping that, Mr. Ping, just gives this really heart-wrenching story, and it's actually where he found Panda. He found Po as a baby panda inside a radish crate where Po ate all the radishes, and Mr. Ping was looking around, seeing if anyone was there. Classically, he leaves the baby, but Po starts to cry, doesn't want to leave Po out there, and then he ends up nurturing and caring for Po. And it's a funny scene, but it is actually a really sweet scene. And Mr. Ping, carries it really well. And I should also say, James Hong carries it really well, giving the masterfulness of how good James Hong is as an actor. I don't think James Hong has ever fully gotten his due credit as an actor, but he's an amazing actor, and he really shows it in this role. But, that's what happens, and we have where Shen then goes with his weapons, because they're completed, I guess, at this point, where he goes back to the main heart of China, and he tries to take back his castle, his family's land. And he forces his way in there, and there's these kung fu masters who used to serve the family well, but they knew of Shen's treacherous ways, and they were going to stop them. They were going to stop him. Master Rhino, Master Croc, and Master Ox. Three really good kung fu masters, and of course the soothsayer stayed on into into Shen's family's employ as well. But they were all shocked to see Shen there. Shen was, obviously exiled. And, when you're exiled, unless your family says you can come back, or the government at the time, you can't come back. So, sorry for stating the obvious, of course. But, he comes back, and with his weapons, sadly, he defeats Crocodile, sadly kills Master Rhino, who, pretty much in this movie looked like a bad, I don't want to say, the bad word, but, he looked like a complete, well, I'll just say this once, a badass. He looked like a complete badass, but he's killed by his weapons, and it sort of really sucks to see, because you wish you could see more of him throughout the film, but, yeah, he gets taken out. And, the word obviously gets to Shifu and the Furious Five and Po, and they have to, go and stop it. Which then leads to Po, wanting to use this to figure out his past, because he's still getting these weird dreams and visions, and he's wanting to try to figure out everything, and Master Shifu was trying to teach Po inner peace, which he didn't completely understand yet, and he just has to try to figure all this out in the end, and he's trying to go to this part of the heart of China to figure out his past. And, you have Mr. Ping, who, has this weird feeling, if Po goes, I'm not going to see my son again, I don't want you to go, can't you get somebody else, Po's worried about his father's worried about him, and, what they could find. And, when they get to the heart of China, a lot of awesomeness and hilariousness ensues, and actually a really good story, because everybody knows about Po's past except Po, and you find out that there was a lot of memory loss, and there's a lot of hidden secrets, and it actually culminates into a very good story. And the final fight in the film is really awesome between the two, between Po and the Furious Five, and everybody trying to work together to take out Shen and his stuff. And it's really good. The second one was in my opinion, it was as good as the first one, but it was even more fluid and better than the first one. I liked the second movie probably 15% more than the first film. I still like the first film, don't get me wrong. I don't drudge down the first film, because the first film had a lot of good morals to it and a lot of good stuff to it, but Kung Fu Panda 2, Kung Fu Panda 2 here, it's just, they made a really good story. But of course, once again, the story consultant and writer for this film, because I guess he liked the first film a lot, was Guillermo del Toro. So they had a lot of insight from Guillermo del Toro, who, as we know, is a imaginative, ingenuitive genius. I mean, he really is. He has an art for telling visuals and story at the same time. Guillermo del Toro is just awesome, and it was cool to see how he was included as a story consultant in this film. And overall, Kung Fu Panda is a great film. I mean, you have, once again, great actors returning. Jack Black as Po, Angelina Jolie as Tigress, David Cross, Lucy Liu, Seth Rogen, Jackie Chan, just like a whole bunch of, great original voice actors. Of course, Dustin Hoffman is back as Shifu. Once again, too, a very great moralistic role for Mr. Ping, and sort of like the first film, he's not completely surrounded in the film, but just like the first movie, James Hong's role as Mr. Ping, he sets up a great moral standard that's the center of the film, and it's really good. It is really good, and I have to say this all the time. When you get towards the end of the film, I still cried it. And I sort of cried at the part where he helped pull out in the first film too, near the end too. So it's I don't know, when Jack Black and James Hong are together in their scenes, it's magical. I mean, because there's just their dialogue and the way they go off each other is just great. Even though they don't work together, but just how even when they're in their own booths and they really don't do the voice acting together in the same room anymore, unless they want them for that scene. It's magical what they did. So James Hong's amazing. And then you have, the new guys that came in, of course. Gary Oldman is Shen. What a great way to play a villain again. I mean, he was funny. He was treacherous. He was just... I mean, let's face it, Gary Oldman's a delight. And anyone who knows Gary Oldman early on in his career knows, yeah, he did play some good guys, but he was originally a villain a villainous actor more before he started taking on the good guy role. So Gary Oldman is always a classic villain to have in your films. You know, he's amazing. You got Michelle Yeoh as the soothsayer, which she was hilarious in this film and offering wise counsel as well as an actress as she can be. So Michelle Yeoh was amazing as the goat soothsayer, always chewing on Shen's clothes or something. You also have Danny McBride, who plays Wolf Boss, who is very amazing, and he's just, the lackey, and, you sort of feel sorry for this guy, because Wolf Boss really is trying, and he's trying to do the right thing, and he actually has a good sort of turn moment at the end, which makes you feel sorry for sort of what happens to him, but, I mean, I won't give it away, but it's like, he was just so great as Wolf Boss, and he even says in the special features, Wolf Boss is what I imagined myself to be as an animal cartoon character, and I'm like, that's pretty cool that Danny McBride said that, and he gives Wolf Boss his seal of approval. And then you have obviously the masters of the Kung Fu Masters, the big three Kung Fu Masters, Rhino, Ox, and Croc. And Ox is voiced, brilliantly by Dennis Haysbert, which is shocking because, him being Ox, I mean, you can see it in the face, it looks like him, but yeah, him voicing Ox was really cool. Victor Garber, for as short of a role that Rhino had, you'd think they could have gotten just any old person to play him, but no, they got Victor Garber for a quick, sort of cameo role, and it was cool to see Victor Garber in the film doing it, which was awesome. And then you had, once again, another sort of cool small role for Jean-Claude Van Damme, who did Croc, and they actually, had some of Jean-Claude Van Damme's signature moves as Croc appear in the cartoon. So, I mean, that was cool, too, because, obviously when you have Jean-Claude Van Damme in any film, you have to see his signature moves, of course, because, I mean, he's lived by those signature moves in almost every film. And once again, just really cool to see Jean-Claude Van Damme just do that role, and how awesome that they could actually get him. And overall, once again, crisp animation, great visuals, great overall story. I think once again, Hans Zimmer and John Powell, another really good, nice, moving, sweeping score, and also very actiony. So great score by those two gentlemen collaborating together again. And overall, like I said, a very, very good film. And I gave Kung Fu Panda 2 a complete 10 out of 10. It's just an amazing, amazing film. I mean, it really got me going, and personally, it has me wanting to see 3, which I have not seen 3 yet. I do not own 3. I want to, and when I do, I will definitely, hopefully, whenever I can, do a review for you guys on that. And, so, in many ways, just greatly amazing. And also, I'll do a little quick blurb here for Kung Fu Panda Secrets of the Masters, and basically it just gives you like where Po and Mantis and Tigress are trying to sneak into a museum to see an early thing of the Kung Fu Masters. And, Mantis and Tigress are just sort of like, you brought us here for this, you said it was secret. It's like, it was, I wanted to see the Secret Masters. And, you have Po once again, like he did in Secrets of the Furious 5, which I do not own yet, and I'll probably do a separate quick review for you guys on that, where he goes and tells the tale of, the 3 masters here, Croc, Ox, and Rhino, and you basically get the quick story of the masters, about how they started out as street punks. They were just street fighters for hire, just trying to do whatever they could to get by. Croc was full of himself. Ox was just thinking, I'm the tough guy. And then Rhino wanted to just earn his place. And, didn't go so well. And there was actually a breakout of these 3 dangerous cat ninjas who were known all throughout China and who brought people together to almost bring China down. And you had Master Wu Wei, who was back in it, just come back in and try to tell these warriors what they could be. And, so they try to work together after the breakout to bring down these 3 cat ninjas who were dangerous. And it was a nice little story of you know, these guys being full of themselves, and Uguay actually asks them, you know, what do the three of you want? Like, what are you guys trying to achieve if we pull this off? And you know, you had Ox who wanted riches and to be rich and famous. You had Croc who wanted the same thing, and you know, he was buying like he used to wear capes, and like he wanted more capes and he wanted more attention. And then you had the interesting thing with Rhino, because you figured Rhino would have been the same. But what Rhino wanted was, is he wanted the success, he wanted the fame, but more importantly, he knew that wouldn't go hand in hand with making his father happy, and he ultimately wanted the respect of his father. Because like you see a scene where you know he has his people hoisting him on his shoulders, and he's right near his father, near his home, and his father says, "My son, I'm so proud of you. You know, you make me proud for me to be your father." And I'm like, that's interesting. I mean, he wants the fame, but he most importantly wants the respect. The fame is secondary compared to the respect he can get from his father and his people. And, you know, it goes on and on about the main story about these three guys finding themselves, and they go through a change, and we see how they become these great masters because they realize what they want is minuscule for fame compared to doing what is actually right. And, you know, once again, great 2D animation. Nice to see 2D animation come back into it. How they keep saying they're trying to keep the style like anime alive. And you can see how they pay respect to anime because it's sort of really anime based for these little cartoons that they do. And, sorry, I wasn't reading that much between things and talks. But they also bring back quite a few of the original voice actors. Like I say, you have Jack Black as Poe, Angelina Jolie as Tigress, Seth Rogen as Mantis, Dustin Hoffman returns as Shifu. But the coolest thing I thought of all was they got they at least got Dennis Haysbert back to do the voice of Ox, and he got to be a bit more comedic with his role, which I thought was pretty funny. And so that was cool. They got Dennis Haysbert back with Ox. Sadly, they couldn't get Victor Garber or Jean-Claude Van Damme for Croc and Rhino, but you know the voice actors who provided them were good too. And they got Randall Duck Kim back for Master Oogway from the first movie. And I'm like, that's cool that they actually got Randall Duck Kim to still provide the voice, because Randall Duck Kim is amazing as Oogway, and it's like I could see no one else filling the role personally. And so Secrets from the Masters is always a good thing. If you can get the double pack, cool. I also think you can get each of these individually too, which I'm probably going to try to do for Secrets of the Furious 5, and I'll do a quick review for you on that too. And I think there's also one that comes with Kung Fu Panda 3. I think it's the Secret of the Scrolls, and I mean it's on YouTube, but I know it's like heavily edited because you know it's obviously owned by DreamWorks, and you know with everything on YouTube sort of being heavily edited, you know, hey, I can understand copyright and all that. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see. So these little films are not that bad either. So overall, once again, 10 out of 10 for Kung Fu Panda. But let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy Kung Fu Panda 2 as much as I did? Or, you know, is it something else with you? You know, but just like, yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. And I will try to be back as soon as I can with another review. Alright? Well, until then, guys, this is 012 Boku saying, peace out.